You think she's a good girl, but once you get to know her, you realize she's everything. She's crazy, she's funny, she's honest, and you'll never know what she'll do next.
Aleta St. James.
Aleta St. James.
Vida St. James.
You know that you would be the oldest woman in America to deliver twins?
This new moms in history.
An empowerment coach for women.
Tailored to the top A-list celebrities.
Known as a dream maker, an urban shaman. Incorporates singing and movement and breathing and sound. But basically my practice is really about transforming people's lives and helping them reach their highest potential.
Must have had an awful lot of naysayers.
Never let anybody tell you that you can't or shouldn't be able to do something.
She wrote a book, Life Shift.
Life Shift, like go and live your dream. It is a Bible of transformation. It's all these wonderful stories about how I came to have realizations about energy work, light work. Wayne Dyer endorsed it.
People told me that I couldn't do it, that it was crazy and insane. And I said, just watch me.
We're here today so you can own your worth. I want you to feel that energy. And I want you to level it up right in your heart center and breathe it in.
The vibrancy that she brought to me, her energy, and I'm like, I want to be like Aleta when I grow up.
My name is Aleta St. James, and I had twins at 57, and I'm now 76, and I always felt like I was going to stay young. So I told my body that stay at 35. I'm not thinking 76 or 77 or 78. If you come to me, the things that I'm really focusing on right now is the ageless factor of winding up and not down, of reversing your aging by looking at the physical, emotional, and mental projections that you might have about your ability to age backwards.
You cannot create in the power of the moment with visualizing, saying affirmations, if you're holding on to negative energy in your emotional body.
Aleta came on, owned the stage, and grounded us, and brought us into our centers, and had us move our bodies to go from our heads to our hearts, and to release pain, to release trauma, and to bring joy into our hearts.
When I deal with fertility, I have many, many women that have come to me that have had very difficult times getting pregnant. I find out immediately in the whole lower chakra area, what do they have energetically that's a projection that they're afraid to get pregnant? Some of these women come in and they've had 12 in vitros or 20 in vitros. So you would think that they want to have a child. But when I get down into their whole energy system, I find out they have blocks. All this is on the subconscious level. I bring it to the light, we release it, we clear it, and then we put a different concept in, which is getting pregnant is wonderful and you're going to be the most amazing mother.
I met Aleta, and her message couldn't have come at a more better time. She just reminded me that my life isn't over yet. I mean, she's had a child in her older years. For a lot of women, they give up hope that they can't have children, and she made the decision. And for me, that gave me hope.
And then the executive coaching is very interesting because you have the linear executive coaching, which is the 5 steps, and this is what you do in an intellectual way. But then you have the intuitive energy executive coaching, which brings it to another level and expands it. Because if we're creating our own reality, you have to believe or feel that you're there already.
She just gave me the gift of freedom in a matter of minutes.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming back today. I just got back from Palm Beach, and I was there to attend a wonderful seminar that Aleta St. James, my wonderful guest here, was putting on in Palm Beach called the Ageless Factor. Good morning, Aleta. Thank you so much for inviting me to your event and for coming back with me to Naples. And please tell my viewers what your goal is with the Ageless Factor.
Well, I gave birth to twins at 57. They're now 20, and I'm 77. So I believe in winding up and not down at any age. And my work that I've focused on is dealing with releasing the emotional and mental traumas that we have growing up and going through life. Because what I've found is it's not about the stem cells. It's not about the exosomes, etc. It's really about releasing the negative trauma out of the cells and then bringing spiritual high frequency energy into your body. Now, when I say spiritual, it's non-denominational. It's God, it's the universe, it's beings of light, it's angels, whatever, it's nature, whatever you connect to that gives you that sense of the source, the divine. And when you do that, then you get younger and younger. So I don't have plastic surgery. There's a light that comes through my body, but I do a lot of meditation. I've gone through a lot of the traumas that I've let go of in my childhood, and I'm able to channel high frequency energy to my clients, whether I'm doing private sessions or workshops or working on the radio or webinars, on the internet. So the most important thing is that you live like you're so excited about life. You reinvent yourself. You never in your mind ever say to yourself, well, I'm getting old. I never, ever go there. I'm reinventing myself. What else is possible? What can I do? And when you do that, then all of a sudden your brain goes, yeah, what else can you do? And then you wind up and not down. Even if it's taking care of your grandchildren, you do it with gusto. And the important thing that we were talking about in the seminar is that the key to agelessness is appreciation and gratitude. Gratitude, right? Very important word for what you have right now, as well as what you want to create in the future. So you want to be in the divine present, moving into what else is possible, but you still want to look at your life like, isn't it wonderful that I have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And don't wait for when I get, then I'll be happy and I'll be grateful.
Right.
So you want into that divine presence through your life. And what you do is you become younger and younger. And I just want to say this to you. When I was pregnant with my twins, and naysayers would say to me, oh my God, Aleta, how can you do this when you're in your 70s? You're going to look decrepit. They'll be in their 20s, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, I'm going to look better then than I do now. And it's true.
And look at her. Yeah. Amazing.
Right. And so you can do that too if you want to, or you can just age, gracefully. That's fine. Everybody, you do you, I do me, but live with joy and fulfillment and a divine presence inside of you. And that just lights up your life and the world.
Right. Now, James, do you have the video that I sent you that showed all of the press that Aleta got when she was having her babies through interviews with Diane Sawyer, Fox News, Dateline? We'll have a little clip for that. Do you have that available or no? Not right offhand. Okay. We'll have that at the end, but you'll be able to see. I mean, this woman is a star in her own right. And I mean, she's just done so many amazing things. And now she's available for all of us to learn from. And how did you get to this place where you are now? How did you come to the idea when you were 57 years old? I think I want to have babies. Like, I think it's time. I'm 56 and my kids are getting married now, thank goodness. But, I can't even imagine what kind of a thought process you were going through.
Well, I always knew I was going to have children. And my grandmother had my mother at 54, but it was 13 Italian children, in Italy. They did those things then. So I didn't think I had a rush. So I always knew I was going to have children. I was preparing my body to have children. And my friend said, when do you think you're going to start to have children? And I was 49 at the time. And I said, I guess I've traveled the world. I've studied in indigenous places.
Like maybe it's time.
Maybe
it's going to be time.
In fact, it's so crazy because now people are going to Peru and they're going doing all sorts of things in India, Southern India. I did that when I was 40, right? So I just thought, okay, let me see. I'll go on this adventure. I had a partner at the time. He was on board. He was much younger than myself, so he was definitely on board. But it took me time. From 49, I tried to do it naturally. And like my grandmother, but I always get pregnant. Probably if I would have started in my 40s, I would have been with 13 children as well. But they didn't hold. So then I had that moment, like my fertility doctor said, look, you can do this naturally as long as you want. I'll work with you. But if ever you decide to do a donor, I'm there. And I finally, after the third miscarriage, I said, you know what? Do I really want my genes or do I want to have children? And I could feel children wanting to come in. Because usually when I help women with fertility that are in their late 30s, going into their 40s, they feel like these children want to come through them.
Right.
So I just knew I had to do it. So I got a wonderful donor. And on the second in vitro, it hit. And here I am. I have Gian and Francesca. And they're now 20. They're going to be 21 in November. And they're thriving. They're happy. They're definitely the new generation, which keeps me on my toes. It's very different than the way we were brought up, my generation, a little bit further than that. But it's exciting to see them grow and find themselves. And I share that with people. But you know what? I always believe in no limitations. Like the limitation is in your mind. So I never thought I couldn't do it. I never thought I couldn't do it. People said to me on air even, what makes you think you could do this? And I said, just watch me. And that's really the way you need to live your life. You need to believe you can do it. You need to release all the subconscious blocks that are in your mind body, open up to the divine energy, and then you're in the quantum field. They're doing so much scientific research on the quantum field, which is really spirituality. Bring that into your consciousness and anything is possible, mostly. If you want to become a concert pianist when you're 77, probably not. But other things are certainly possible. And having children for me was.
Right. Yeah. For me, it was a priority as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking about a friend of mine that I know right now who wants to have babies, and her husband is infertile because he had cancer and was treated for that. So what would you just say to someone going through this right now?
Well,
at a young age.
It's heartbreaking. It's definitely heartbreaking. But then again, you're at this crossroad and you say, do I need my husband's sperm? Or do we get a sperm donor that's very much like my husband? And he can donate his sperm and we can have children. It's like adopting, but, carrying your own children. But when I want to bring into the ageless factors, like the whole workshop we had, in Palm Beach.
It was amazing, I have to say. I recommend it to anybody who gets the opportunity to meet Aleta. I'm so blessed if you saw our podcast we did last year in Boca, that's when I first met Aleta through a mutual friend of ours, Gail Brophy. You'll see that in the live tab on YouTube. They have on my podcast, and there's a tab called Live. Underneath that we did a live show it was 2023, I think, wasn't it, maybe?
Wow, yeah.
So anyway, but that I definitely recommend seeing that as well to get you started on what Aleta's teachings are.
Yeah, because you might not want to get pregnant. You're 15.
Not everybody does.
No, and definitely not Tracy.
I've done that. I had other things. That we had to work out of my chakras today, right?
Yeah, we did that this morning, actually.
Thank God that we did that. And we really uncovered some amazing things that I hadn't even thought would be some blockers that I have in my life.
Yeah, well,
Aleta, through Aleta's help and all of her generosity, she was able to uncover some things with me. And so you're going to be seeing some major changes in my life now. I told her, boy, as soon as these things start opening up in my world, you're going to have a lot of business, Aleta. I'm going to be able to let you sit still. And right now she can't even sit still. Your phone keeps ringing and chiming and everybody's trying to get a hold of her.
Amen. Well, this is what happened today. All right. So we went through the workshop. Tracy let go of certain things that were blocking her. I do movement, sound, drumming, the whole thing. Plus, I recorded meditations where I can sing from my third eye, which is go into the pineal gland and go straight up to God consciousness, bring it down. But there was things that were coming up she's worked on herself a lot, but they're in the cells. And so I'm able, because I was born with a gift of intuition, but I also studied all over the world. I keep studying. I never stop because I have to raise my vibrational rate. It's like People go to church every day. People go to church on Sunday. I'm constantly listening to different meditations, podcasts, learning all different modalities so that I can put myself to a certain frequency so that I can see what's blocking Tracy. So I went in.
Thank goodness, something.
And I said, okay, in this first and second chakra, this is what you're holding on to. And sure enough, it was. So we released that with the energy work. And then we went into a shock that she had at a very early age in terms of relationship situations. She released that. And then we said, okay, what else is possible now that you're not holding on to the trauma? Because you see, the brain can't tell the difference between real and unreal. And if you're coming from a subconscious block that says, love is dangerous, there's no safety with love because men cheat. Women cheat too, by the way, especially now. But you can't trust. Then you might say, this is what I want. And you can pray for it. You can do everything. But your heart center and everything inside of you is saying, danger, don't go there.
Or you're finding unavailable men over and over and over again.
And that's something, we create our own reality. If you notice that there's a pattern, don't blame the person. Say, what's inside of me that keeps attracting unavailable men, handsome, gorgeous, sexy, charismatic, but not connectors.
That's not your person.
No.
if they're unavailable, that's not your person.
No, it's going to go nowhere except heartbreak, disappointment, and then your brain, your subconscious goes, yeah, sure. See, I told you, I can't trust them. There you go.
Here we go again.
Then you won't bring in the right person. Because the one thing you don't want to do is be totally disappointed about the true love that you think you've just brought in. And then all of a sudden he cheats or she cheats or he dies or she dies. There's no safety in this world except safety within inside yourself. And that's what I was saying to everybody in the workshop and also Tracy today. We long for when we get the partner or we have the money or we have the this, then we'll be happy. Happiness is an inside job. You need to come in with all your energies, your mind, body, and spirit connected and feel happy. All right. You go to church and people are singing hallelujah. We were dancing to hallelujah, right? It was so cool.
At the Ageless Factor conference. I went to.
The retreat, not the retreat, the workshop. I'm in Cabo.
I'm in a conference. She's in a retreat. We're all in the same place. We're having fun, dancing, singing.
So you're in a high frequency of blessing, receiving blessings and things of that nature. And then you're in that consciousness. But then you start to imagine what you really want as if it's already happened. You can't do that if you're holding on to resentment, anger, sadness, blame. Those are all things that age you. And those are things that you can see with people as they get aging, as they age. They're just like, oh, the divorce. They could have been divorced 20 years ago. I don't know if any of you are feeling that, or children that wound up, in the deep ends of the pool or whatever.
Or if you're carrying extra weight.
Yeah.
My sister always says that, when you're carrying extra weight, that could be padding to keep you safe, don't you think?
Keep you safe and also hold on to emotional baggage, protection. So I've seen people in a session after I've helped them release it, lose 10 pounds because their body just lets go.
I'm ready for that.
So next time you see Tracy,
I'm going to be losing weight.
You're gonna be
the love of my life is here. Thank you, God.
I always make a joke because I work with a regenerative doctor down in Cabo, Dr. Frank. And I always say, I don't know, I keep meditating and keep praying and I'm getting younger. Before you know it, I'm going to be 12. And then he laughs, I do that regenerative medicine as well, but not a lot. It's a combination of that detoxification and, the stem cells, the exosomes, the finding out where your inflammation is, releasing it, energizing your body, but it's your mindset. And it's your understanding that happiness, again, is an inside job.
Right.
And then it's the law of attraction. Then you magnetically attract to you what you believe you can have. And you're not in conflict with yourself. Like you consciously say, oh, I want the love of my life and this and that. And you're subconsciously going, danger, not, not this or that. Or another thing with abundance, with money. So many people want wealth and, expansion in terms of money, and they're terrified of it because they'll become a bad person.
Right. They think it's evil.
Yeah. Or somebody is going to come in and ask them for a loan, or, they saw somebody who had money that was really mean and horrible and, lived a miserable life.
Or they think bad people only have money. Mean people have money.
Yeah, it's not true. Money is energy. That's all money is. The people manipulate it if they feel insecure to feel like they're arrogant or better than. I work with some very wealthy people, celebrities, et cetera, et cetera. I always felt, even when I was little, and I had a show business career up to a certain point when I kind of made the transition into healing, is the God in me salutes the God in you. And then there was one friend of mine who was kind of a street person that said, we all bleed red, Aleta. It's really true. So if you're moving into a God self with somebody, nobody's higher, nobody's lower. We're all like spiritual beings having a physical experience. So if this one has a boat and they have a lot more money, I always go, praise God, great. I'm glad that they have that. If that was what I really wanted, which I don't know if you want a boat.
No. I'm not going to turn it down.
Or
if my woman comes in with a boat, all right, let's go boating.
Right. Or
or a jet plane. Like, I'm not hoping about this.
It's good. Whatever you want is, everybody has their own thing. But you can have an abundant life and feel like money is my friend. It's spiritual energy. I deserve to have a happy, successful, secure life. And then all of a sudden, it starts coming into you because you're not blocking it in your subconscious. So you have that with fertility. There's women that come to me in their late 30s and early 40s, lots of in vitro, okay, $125,000 worth of in vitro. They want to have a child, wouldn't you think? Yep. But when they come to me, last stitch effort, I put my hands on their uterus, which is the third brain, these lower chakras, and we find out they're afraid to get pregnant because they had a horrible mother and they're afraid they're going to be that. There's not enough money to sustain the child. They're not quite sure about their partner is going to stay in there. They don't want to be abandoned. Now, they're not consciously thinking about this, but it's in their cells and it's stopping them from getting pregnant. So I release that, open up that feeling of it's great to get pregnant. I have everything that I need. My grandmother, Nicoletta Bianchino, with her 13 kids, said to my mother, when you have a baby, figa mai, the baby comes with a loaf of bread under its arm, meaning don't worry about it. And they lived in the Depression. A piece of bread is like a piece of steak, if that's what you feel. And it's really true. It's your mindset about things. So when you let go of the fear, then you move into the creation, and then you can bring in your spiritual and your mental and emotional bodies together and create this amazing thing that you really want. That's in my book, Life Shift, Let Go and Live Your Dreams. I wrote it right after the babies were born. I had Simon & Schuster was my publisher. And they were next to me in car seats while I was writing away. I only had 3 months to write the book. It just talks about what's your deepest dreams, desires, and destiny. What's your purpose? What's the thing that makes you roll? And once you get what that is, then you're unstoppable because your ego's not involved. You have a bigger mission, which is my bigger mission is, even if your bigger mission in this lifetime is to love yourself, which, believe it or not, is the hardest thing to do. You might think, oh, I love myself. I bought myself $25,000 worth of whatever. And then you're out shopping the next day because obviously that didn't fill the void. I love myself, but you really don't. So appreciation and gratitude every day for who you are and everything that you've accomplished. And you don't have to find the cure for AIDS. You don't have to be the most gorgeous woman or man, handsome man on the planet. You just have to say, wow, for who I am right now, I just love being in my body. I love my life, and what I don't like about my life, I can change. Let me change my belief system. Let me do some inner work on myself. Let me find some spiritual connection that makes sense to me and that I feel like I'm a higher spiritual being having a physical experience. Now, there's a guru called Babaji. And when I was like 22, I was in LA in an ashram doing a meditation. And I looked at this picture and I said, how old is that guru? And one of the devotees said, oh, he's 800 years old. And I went, really? I said, yeah, he keeps reincarnating himself. Because in Hinduism, they're kind of in the quantum field from centuries ago. So I just made a joke and I said, I have to learn that. That was like 22, 23. But, he looks like he's 40. And when he comes and reincarnates himself down here, he looks young. And so my point is, he's galactic. He's in another energy field. That's all great. You don't have to do that. I want to live to the 120 club. There's actually a 120 club. After I gave birth to the twins, I was doing a radio show. I said, I've been saying I want to live to 120 since I was 40. And the guy said, what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm going to live to 120. And he went, oh, God, I belong to that club. And I went, what? He said, yeah, it's in the Bible, 120. He said, and here's the guy who runs the club. And I looked him up. There's a lot of people that are talking about living to 120. And now they're actually writing books about it, like living to 120. And then they say you can live to 150. But my point is, and what we were working with very strongly with Tracy and the group and the private session, how are you living it? You want to live it with joy, fulfillment, and expansion, wonderment. What else is possible? How am I giving back to mankind? How am I elevating the planet so that you feel like you have a purpose and that it's not like you're Miss or Mr. Giver all the time. You have to be able to receive. We were working on that.
Breathing.
Right? Breathing.
We're getting breathing. My sister was saying, Tracy, I was thinking, you need to go. Are you breathing? You need to start breathing. My sister actually said that. Jacqueline was too hard.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to ask you about this because I noticed I'm sitting here with my legs crossed, and I remember you said something about that, and I was thinking, now which is it? Because I was sitting like this with the right over the left, and I'm sitting like this. I'm like, what does that mean?
Okay. So
I remember you went there.
In Chinese medicine, which is acupuncture, they say the yin is on the left side, which is your feminine, and the yang is on your right side. So if you notice, then a lot of times you cross your legs. So if you want to protect your feminine, the vulnerable part of you, you'll put your right leg over your left. And if you feel like your vulnerable part wants to, protect your masculine, your yang, you put your left over your right.
So right now I'm protecting my masculine.
Which is Tracy out in the world and Tracy doing the podcast and Tracy being Tracy, finding Tracy, right?
Right.
So it's funny because when I'm doing a session, immediately when I start reading like what's going on and blah, 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 the leg goes right. Yeah.
So this is the masculine side. Okay, that's good to know.
Right.
James,
yeah.
I know you guys have good questions. Do you have a question for Aleta?
I don't. You guys are just moving at a wonderful pace.
This is James Henderson, our producer. So
Yay.
we always like to give him credit. He works so hard and is so patient with us.
Yes.
But well, this is amazing. So do you have any last words or anything to share before I go to the real estate minute?
All right. Look, you right now, while you're listening to this, I am an embodiment of what I'm saying. I don't read it out of a book. I've written a book, Life Shift, Let Go and Live Your Dream, which I hope that you will get on Amazon. It's a life changer. But you can take this podcast and say, wow, if she can do it and Tracy can do it, I can do it too. That's what I want you to do and say, what did that woman do? What tools can she give me to empower me to live agelessly at any age? 40, 30, 50, 60, 70, all the way up to
It's
120.
all up here.
Yeah, and how you release it, how you connect with spiritual energy, how that goes into your body. It can't just be a concept. It has to be an embodiment where you're feeling it. And then what do I want to create? What else is possible? and then live like that. And it'll be a life well lived. By the time you're ready to make your transition, and I've helped people make their transitions. And I will tell you that I've seen it. You can tell the person it's time to go. Grandma and grandpa are there. They're ready to embrace you. Your husband is there. They do not go until their soul says it's time. And then I've seen it. The soul kind of comes out of the body to the top of the head, and the person just lets go. And it's in their timing. So you can do whatever you want to do. They can be in a coma, and etc. You can pray with them, but they're making the decision. Their soul is making the decision on going through that tunnel, seeing the light, looking at the relatives, connecting there. And look, it's really true that there's so much more to all these dimensions than just our third dimension physical self. There just is. So live like today is your best day, and work up in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, do not grab your phone. Your brain is in theta. That's your creative self. Say your affirmations, your prayers on what you want to create. Put yourself in that miracle place. I want to have an exciting, expansive day today. I want to do things that are energizing and helping people and helping myself. I am so happy and grateful that I can do that I am doing that. And then before you go to sleep at night, say it again. And if you want to be in a relationship, I'm so happy and grateful that I have attracted a mate, blah, 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 and you put all the great concepts in there before you go to sleep. So your brain doesn't analyze anything when it's sleeping. It works on that concept.
Do you think it's better to do that in the morning when you wake up or at night before you go to sleep?
Both. If you really want something, that's when people pray together, when they do remissions, there's a whole group consciousness and they're praying that the person gets over the cancer. They don't see the cancer. Like when someone comes to me and they have cancer, I don't go, oh my God, cancer. I see them out of the cancer. When people are praying in prayer groups, they pray for the person to be out of the affliction. They're seeing it, pray as if it's already happened.
Exactly.
Don't beg when you're praying. Be thankful that it's already happened, and it'll quantum shift the results. So if you can do that morning and night, and of course, I have a lot of meditations on YouTube, and you can find my website.
I'll put it down in the biography below.
Yeah, and you can contact me and find out what's happening, and game on, right?
And what is your favorite part of this work, Aleta?
Everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. I love everything because I'm a triple Scorpio. If anybody knows that, we go down under there, we dig out. But I like to see the transformation. I love people manifesting their dreams. I'm also a minister, certified minister. I've married people. I've helped them get divorced as well. But, things that makes me happy when I see people living their dreams. But I love the whole scope of it.
For people that don't have the access to get to you or don't have the affordability to hire someone like you to help them, what would you recommend that they do?
Well, because I do webinars that are not that expensive, you keep, you
have a lot of free things online too,
yeah.
don't you? On YouTube, I found some free things.
Yeah, there's a lot of free things. My book, that's certainly affordable. Start reading that. And then manifest some money to come and see me, all right? Or to take a workshop.
Yeah.
I used to go all around the world. Now, because the kids, I want to stay closer to home. And they ask, when are you coming home, Mom? Soon. You get called to go at a certain place when you're on your mission. You get called to go there. And so I was called to come to Florida.
Well, with that, I'm going to start with a real estate minute. Okay, so last week I talked about the real estate in the United States of America. For all of you, they're all over the place. But I'll be honest, it was pretty repetitive when I looked at it today. So I wanted to tell you how great we have it here in Florida. Last week I had 2 sales. This week I'm working on another one today that's going to active to contract, hopefully by the end of the day. And so I wanted to tell you, things in Florida are happening, okay? As of May 22nd, 2025, Florida's real estate market is experiencing increased inventory and moderated price growth, with the median price for a single-family home at $420,000, a 2.4% increase from the previous year. Hey, that's good for you sellers out there. And mortgage rates remain elevated around 6.5% to 7%, impacting affordability, while rising insurance premiums, especially in coastal areas, add to costs. Population growth continues, though, with over 1,000 new residents daily, sustaining housing demand. So I'm telling you, this is where it's at. We love it here in Florida. And if you don't have a realtor, if you do have a realtor, please reach out to your realtor, find out where the best place for you and your family to invest in a home, buy a home, whatever it is you want to do. And if you don't have a realtor, I'm here to help you. And my name is Tracy Bush Payton. I'll put my contact information below. And please give us a subscribe, like this video. If you're still here, I think you liked it. Post your thoughts below or ask us a question. I'll make sure that Aleta sees it so we can get an answer to you. And please share this with someone else that is not living exactly the life that they want. It's in your dreams. If you can see it, it can happen. Right, Aleta?
Exactly.
So anyway, please reach out to us, and we're sending you lots of love. And so is Mr. Henderson over here, our production crew. And we love you guys. I hope you guys are going to have a great weekend. Oh, you guys, I'm so excited. Aleta is offering you something amazing that is something that I've experienced, and I've gotten a lot of good out of it. Aleta, do you want to share what you're giving our viewers today?
It's a free meditation. It's called the Ageless Factor. Normally it's $80, but because you're listening to this podcast, Tracy's podcast, /O, free. So all you have to do is type in the promo code, which is Tracy Show, and send me the email, and you'll get the meditation and skyrocket your life forward.
Or at least get it started. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
A safe space, an environment where I just felt so free to be me, and I'm forever grateful.